In New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, moving is something that you probably take for granted. I mean, you do it the whole time that you're playing, so at this point it's just become second nature. To beat the game, you have to move, right? Well, I decided to challenge myself and attempt what might be the hardest New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe challenge ever made. In this video, I am asking the question, is it possible to beat New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe without moving? Now, this most likely sounds insane, and that's because it is, but before I explain how this challenge is attemptable, I need to quickly define the rules. The only thing we're not allowed to do is moving by using directional inputs, whether that be the D-pad, control stick, or anything else. The only time we're allowed to use directional inputs is in the menus and on the world map, because we wouldn't be able to do anything if we couldn't, which would be boring. The only other time we can use directional inputs is when going into pipes or doors, because it's just an unskippable press that we have to do rather than one that happens during the core gameplay, which is all we really care about. And not being able to beat 1-2 would be sad. Now we have that out of the way, we need to figure out how to move without moving. The first and most basic way to do that is by the use of multiplayer. With multiplayer, we can go into a bubble and get to the other player and then pick them up and throw them to move forward. Now, while this isn't a bad way of moving and we can keep a lot of momentum if we jump right when we hit the ground, it's still pretty slow and we can't cross large gaps. Luckily, there's a way to move forward that is even better, and that way is with the Super Acorn. The Super Acorn is undoubtedly our best option of moving since we can updrift in the air to go a great distance quickly. And if we spin jump, we can get high in the air and go even farther, and while we're in the air, we can twirl to stall our descent so that we can go an even greater distance and make small adjustments to our heading, which is useful because the only bad thing about the Super Acorn is that there's no way to easily stop our momentum, so if we're drifting into a pit or an enemy, most of the time we're screwed. So we really need to make sure to think about our trajectory before we leap, especially for very precise jumps. With that, we can start the challenge where Luigi, the fun guy, and Red Luigi are having a nice tea party with Princess Peach. Oh man, not this guy again. Let's just get this over with. Come on, throw us away and kidnap the princess. But your plan had one fatal flaw, Bowser. You threw us into our most useful way of moving. And that will be the last mistake you ever make. Alright, here we go into the first level, Acorn Plains 1, Acorn Plains Way. So we saw quite a lot of this level during the explanation, and I mean this is as easy as it's going to get. It has 5 different question blocks that give you Super Acorns, so you should have absolutely no problem dodging these annoying little waddle wings and making it out of the level with both bros in their squirrel suits. Acorn Plains 2 Tilted Tunnel is next, and this one is already turning up the difficulty, and the main reason is because low ceilings aren't our friends since we can't updrift past obstacles and enemies easily. Now, there are 2 different strategies we can use in this level. The first one is just by using our squirrel suits to get through the level. The second way is by having one bro get a fire flower to torch everything ahead of the other bro so that they can get past safely. Both ways work well, but personally I went with the 2 squirrel suit method since if I get hit, I can just unbubble the other bro and keep going. The only parts that are truly difficult are these parts with the piranhas that go all the way down to the ground. As long as we time a throw well and jump to keep our momentum, then we can get past it. The rest of the level isn't too hard to updrift through, but we gotta make sure not to go too fast because when we get to this pink sloped crystal, we need to updrift up here. Then if we spam the jump and updrift button enough, we'll most likely be able to get past this tight passageway. Then we gotta jump up even higher and updrift through this top area to get to this pipe. The reason we did all of this is because going up here takes us to the secret exit. Since we took the secret exit, we can cross this rainbow and go into our next level, Acorn Plains Blooper's Secret Lair, which is a water level. Yay. So here is where we run into a problem. You see, underwater you can't updrift and you can't throw the other player. The most you can do is move a tiny bit by using bubbles, but that's really slow, so we'd surely run out of time. It might seem like there's nothing we can do, but that is actually wrong, and that is because of one person. Toadette. So in this game, Toadette is easier to play than Luigi, Mario, and Toad, because in addition to turning into an abomination, she also automatically swims in whichever direction she is facing. Which is great, now we can move forward easily, until we hit a wall. No, I'm serious, that's our biggest obstacle now. But it's not that difficult to find a workaround, because with Toadette not being able to move up or down without any directional inputs, the Mario Brothers can only move up or down by pressing the jump button. So now we have the perfect marriage of ways to move, and we can get over any wall that we want. And with the Fire Flower, Toadette can torch all these really annoying bloopers. I mean, honestly, these guys are awful. But eventually you can make it to the pipe, flame this blooper, and beat the level. Nope, just kidding, this level's horrible, it's not over yet. So before we get into the pipe, we need to make sure Toadette does not come with the brothers into the pipe, or else she'll just get stuck to the right, and you'll see why we can't have that happen right now. So with Mario and Luigi, we need to get into a bubble and push them over to the left. Then when a mushroom bubble is above us, we start to swim all the way up until we get to this spinning pipe. Once we get here, we need to get pushed by that pipe until we're on top of it. Then we take a hit from this blooper, which is why we needed that mushroom. Then when this pipe's bubbles are in direct alignment with this pipe, we swim up and get thrusted into said pipe. Wow, that was a crazy level, but it's possible. By using the secret exit, we can skip past a great chunk of levels and go all the way to World 5, Soda Jungle. And the first level here is Soda Jungle 1, Jungle of the Giants. The giant enemies in this level are sort of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's pretty cool to be able to jump off of all the enemies to get through the level. On the other hand, bigger enemies means that they are harder to dodge and that we're more likely to drift right into their bodies. It's challenging, but you can do it so long as you focus. So before we start the next level, we have to talk about the route we're going to take. Because plot twist, I made a video a little more than 2 years ago trying to beat the game without pressing left or right. And in that video, I said it was near impossible to beat Soda Jungle Tower and that I couldn't do it. So instead, I opted to get the secret exit in Soda Jungle 2 to skip over it. But the thing about back then is that I was dumb. Originally, I didn't even try to beat the level because I knew I couldn't do it. But this time around, I was more determined to make this video way better than that one. So using my 2-year-older IQ, I thought of looking up a level map and saw this. Amazingly, it skips past the whole entire first area. I don't know how you'd think to find this normally, but it's a good thing it's here. And looking at the map, I theorized that we'd only have to get this far into the second area, and then we could updrift all the way up to the boss door, which skips past these spiky pendulums. So with this newfound hope, we're going to get the normal exit in Soda Jungle 2, Bridge over Poisoned Water, since I think this level is a lot easier than trying to dodge these annoying orange wannabes in Bramble Woods. Before I do that though, I'd just like to thank all of you who have subscribed, since when I posted that video I had 86 subscribers and now I have well over 4,000. It's because of all of you who motivated me to remake this video with better editing, script writing, pacing, voiceover, and more difficult gameplay to just make it a lot better, so really, thank you. Alright, now let's beat this level, which really isn't too hard at the start and only heats up at the brick block bridge section, but as long as you wait for the bridge to go forward before you do a low updrift, then you shouldn't have a problem beating the rest of the level and grabbing that flagpole. Now we're going into the big one, Soda Jungle Tower, Snake Block Tower. Before we start this level, I have to tell you about the super secret, never before seen ancient art of throwing your brother's head at a wall to turn them around. So the way we're going to get into this area is to grab the other bro and right as we're falling, throw the bro into the snake block to turn them around. And while they're tumbling, they can do a mid-air jump to get into the pipe. Then we have to bubble the other bro before they die. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Before we go into the next section, I need to explain something again, and that is the way to get the most height in the easiest way. The first way is by jumping off of the other bro's head and then updrifting at the peak of your jump. This works okay, but it can be a little difficult to get a maximum height bounce. The other way is by grabbing the other bro and then the bro on the bottom spin jumps. Then at the height of the jump, the bro on top spin jumps and then updrifts, which basically just gives you a double jump. It's easy to do and gets more height than the other way, so now we can go into the next section. Here we're going to need to find a way to turn around so that when the snake block turns around, we can move with it. The easiest way I found is that right when you get out of the pipe, have both bros updrift. Then pick up the bro on top and slam their head into the block and bubble them. Now that we have a bro turned around, we have to do a fairly precise jump over this amp and under these swinging spiky pendulums and make sure not to go too far and get shocked. Then after we wait for the pendulum to pass, we updrift and we're right under the door. So we pop the other bro and grab them to do our double jump to get enough height to get to the door. Wow, that was kinda crazy, but after 2 years, I can say that this level is possible. Oh wait, I forgot about Boom Boom, which is probably because he's still just super easy. So far, that was our biggest challenge yet, but if you think it'll get easier from here, think again, because the level we're about to play is our last easy level. Soda Jungle Ghost House Which Way Labyrinth is more of a puzzle to complete than a challenge. So at the start, we need to updrift to the wall and throw a bro at it to turn them around to go into this door. Then we need a bro to stand on this platform to raise it up. Once it's high up, bubble the bro and go back down to the other bro. Then throw them at the wall to turn them around. Since boos don't come to you if you're looking at them and both bros are facing opposite directions, we're able to take a nice leisurely ride on this platform with no boos trying to spook us. Then instead of going in this door, we're going to stay on this platform until we're about here where we can updrift through the ceiling and get licked by some boos. After we go through this door, all you have to do is bubble the bro on the left and just stay still, which is extremely nerve-wracking, but it works and you're done. This secret exit lets us climb on a vine to somehow stand on a cloud, which is our next level, Soda Jungle Parabeetle, Flight of the Parabeetles. This level might not be the hardest one, but it is certainly the most unforgiving, since if you don't calculate your trajectory perfectly and miss the Parabeetle, then you're going to slowly drift to your death. A good tip is to use the functionality of the Parabeetles moving up when you stand on them to get the right angle for an updrift, and we can do the same thing for the big ones who sink when you stand on them. These king bills are pretty scary to dodge, but if you just make sure to get as high as possible and then jump on the next Parabeetles as fast as you can, they can't really do much to you and we can win. Beating that level takes us to World 7, Moraine Clouds, and the first level of this world is Moraine Clouds 1, Land of the Flying Blocks. For this level, we're on a moving cloud with blocks that obstruct your path. The piranha plants are also pretty hard to dodge, like this one at the start where you have to time your updrift correctly to get past, or these piranha plants that come out of pipes that you have to stall to dodge. The only good thing is that there's an easy super acorn to get right after that. When you get to this breakable brick area, all you have to do is wait until the blocks move to glide and updrift to these blocks, and get hit by a big piranha plant. Then all you have to do is damage boost through these other big piranha plants and you're out. Next we have a choice between two different levels to do. Both of them are pretty difficult. Moraine Clouds 3 Switchback Hill isn't great because it's hard to dodge the bullet bills and make sure not to fall off the edge at the same time. So I decided to do Moraine Clouds 2 Seesaw Shrooms, but don't get me wrong, this level is still fairly difficult. After we use invulnerability frames to get past this fuzzy, we arrive at a section where we find our old enemies, the piranha plants. Here we have to time when they're in their pipes, but it's not as simple as that because even after we do that, there's still Koopas and Paragoombas who we have to dodge. Once we're done with that, Lakitu flies onto the scene and adds a luck factor into the level because you might just get sniped by a Spiny and there was nothing you could do about it. For these shrinking and growing pink mushroom platforms, we just have to make sure to jump when the platform is small so that when we drift down, there's a big platform to land on, and thankfully once we go a little bit farther, Lakitu retreats for some reason. Even if we lose our squirrel suit, it's not too hard to dodge these fuzzies and get to the end. Next, we are going into, hands down, the worst level so far in this challenge. Moraine Clouds Tower, Slide Lift Tower. The main reason this level is so terrible isn't because of these slide lifts, no, it's because of these stupid fire bros. I mean, the game developers just knew how to put these guys in the most annoying spots to get you every single time. Besides having one player face left and one player face right for quick bubbling, there's no real strategy to get past the fire bros. You just gotta be skilled. Also, notice how I said player instead of bro? Well, that's because of one person. Toadette. That really wasn't as cool now that I've done it for a second time. So in addition to turning into an abomination and enhanced swimming, Toadette also adds an extra 100 Mario seconds onto the clock, which we're gonna need. Alright, let's just skip past all this horrible stuff and get to something that I can actually explain, which is this section where there is a fire bar at the top, a slide lift to crush you and stop your updrift, and the cherry on top, a fire bro. It's a triple threat and it's insanely challenging to get past unscathed. After we updrift past this very tightly timed fire bar, we make it to the boss fight door. Here we're going to want all 4 players to have squirrel suits, since the boss fight that's coming up is so difficult that we need some insurance. The boss fight in this tower is Chemic, who we have to get a little bit lucky to defeat. The first bit of luck we need is for these blocks not to appear right above our heads, since it's pretty hard to get out of the way, and when they drop on us we can get damaged by them. The most obvious luck element is wherever Chemic teleports. I mean, if he's not in the right spot for us to hit him, then we can't hit him. The only real skill required is trying to hit Chemic while he's flying, which is tough, but not impossible. And I guess dodging Chemic's magic burst is a little bit of luck mixed with some skill. Anyway, so long as we get lucky, use our damage boosts, and use the other players when we get hit, we can stomp on Chemic's big, dumb hat and defeat him. Also, Mario slowly drifted into the void because you can't bubble after you defeat the boss. Well, that level took me more than 5 hours to complete, but with that nightmare out of the way, we move on to a level that's supposed to be a nightmare, but actually isn't too bad. Moraine Cloud's Ghost House Spinning Spirit House might seem kinda daunting at first, with these boos closing in on your location, forcing you to jump quickly to the door. But the following section isn't really too hard to get through, for the most part, and this part is extremely easy. Then you just have to go through the ceiling and through this door. Then we can use invulnerability frames from being unpopped to get past the boo ring. That was supposed to work. But whatever, we can still win easily. Not only did we beat the level, but we got the secret exit, which lets us walk across this rainbow to get to Moraine Cloud's castle, Ludwig's Clockwork Castle. This is a pretty challenging level because one wrong move and you're smushed. This part where you have to glide down and then updrift is kind of a tight squeeze, but it's manageable. After that, you just have to make sure to stomp the sledge bros in your way and jump to dodge the shockwaves of the ones who are too hard to defeat. Then you can make it to this platform, jump before the amp, hit the sledgy, and enter the boss fight door. For the Ludwig fight, we can get a really easy first hit by updrifting right onto his head. Then we can damage boost to get the second hit, and for the third hit, I really couldn't even try to tell you what happened here. It was utter chaos, but it's a good thing that we had Blue Toad with a squirrel suit to take a few hits so that we could win. And now we are done with Moraine Clouds and we're going forward to world what the heck is that? Alright, so we have one last level here. Moraine Cloud's airship, boarding the airship, which is pretty easy. If we just stay to the left of the screen, then we'll get pushed by said screen, and Bowser's hand only comes down on us one time near the start. But if we just jump, then we can dodge it easily. So with this part done, we just have this tilt platform that works exactly the same as normal since you just use motion controls to move the platform. Now we fight Bowser Jr., who is a little bit tricky. We can start off by grabbing the Spa Bomb that Bowser Jr. throws and throw it back at him for a free hit. Then by bouncing off of the bros' heads with some good spacing, we can updrift to Bowser Jr. for the final 2 hits. But sadly guys, right after that, we all got punched. Nah, I'm just kidding. He totally whiffs and blows up the whole dang ship. Okay, this is it. The final world, Peach's Castle. With the first level, Peach's Castle 1, Meteor Mode. This level is all about luck. No, really, it takes little to no skill to win, and that's all because of these meteors. Their patterns are, for the most part, pretty random, so you can just get hit by a meteor and it wasn't even your fault, it's just because you got unlucky. It is super annoying when you get hit from so high that you can't even see the meteor, or when it comes straight down on you. Even when the ground sinks into the lava, it's still not difficult, so really you just gotta wait until you get lucky and you can win. I guess I should also mention how this level has a secret exit by going into this pipe, which takes you to this level. Now listen, I don't have any doubts that this level is possible to complete, but it would be so difficult that it would take me longer to beat this than Moraine Cloud's Tower. So for my sanity, I'm not gonna play this level. Not to mention it means you only have to play one less level. And that means more content for this video with our next level, Peach's Castle 2, Magma River Cruise. For this level, we're on a platform that stops when 5 or more enemies or objects are on it, which isn't a big deal on its own, but mix that with the volcanic ash cloud that's following us and it becomes a big problem for this platform to stop. Another problem are these dang Monty moles. 2 years ago I couldn't get the timing right to stomp these pests and I still can't now. Whatever, just make sure to kill anything that moves, try to avoid the magmas, and since this level is short, you'll be out in no time. Peach's Castle 3, Rising Tides of Lava is next, and this level has, well, Rising Tides of Lava. And you can see how far it goes up by looking at the cracks in the ground. Don't get me wrong, this level's not easy, but compared to what we faced, it's not an issue at all. Okay, we're at the penultimate level, Peach's Castle Red Hot Elevator Ride. This one has us riding on a platform that is basically the tilt lifts from boarding the airship and the platform from Magma River Cruise combined. mind. But this time it doesn't take 5 things to stop the platform, it only takes 1. Since we can't move, it means that we have to wait for the things to come to us so that we can get them off of the platform. And with these pipes that have an endless supply of Goombas, it's pretty hard to defeat them before the next one comes aboard. The best tip is to just make sure that nothing has a chance to come onto the platform, so we want to use our great motion skills to dodge all of this stuff like Neo from the Matrix. It can also be annoying to get into this door at the end, but once we do, we're good. And now, it's time for the last level, Peach's Castle, the final battle. Here we have Bowser Jr., who is a real nuisance because he slams down on you and blocks your path. He also makes these platforms shake, which pushes you off, and he makes these platforms fall down when he lands on them. In the past when I did this, Bowser Jr. could actually be really helpful though, since we could ground pound and jump off of his clown car to skip over all the challenging platforming down below. But here we obviously can't ground pound, so Bowser Jr. acts exactly in the way that he's supposed to, like an absolute jerk. One thing that I thought was pretty smart to do is to constantly unbubble the bros and leave them there as bait for this naive little turtle to attack so that we can go along and play the level without him in our way. This worked really well. Too bad I messed it up a lot though. Eventually we can enter this door, which takes us to another door, but before we enter that door we need to grab this fire flower. Then after hurling our way through this corridor, we make it to the big man himself, Bowser. Now we can easily dodge these single fireballs, but what we can't dodge most of the time is this fire spread. And we also can't dodge when Bowser comes up to us and knocks us down like a bully in an 80s high school movie. So to circumvent this while we're shooting fireballs, we can constantly bubble and unbubble to get invulnerability frames, which means that we are completely... What the heck was that? Anyway, like I was saying, if we just keep doing this, it means that we are 100%. If we use our invulnerability frames to shoot Bowser with our fireballs, then we can defeat him and hit the button at the end. Then Kamek comes out and sprinkles 3/4 of the PlayStation symbols on Bowser, but come on guys, I'm sure this won't be a big problem for us. Oh, and he's big now. Yeah, so that's a problem for us. So normally we can use Bowser Jr.'s clown car to bop Bowser's head, but, well, we can't move in the clown car without directional input, so we're going to need to do the same thing that we did with small Bowser. But here Bowser decides to get all up in our business and he does not back off, so he just stays here pacing back and forth while we're safe from damage. Listen, it's definitely possible to do this on your own, but it just takes some brain power and concentration that I don't have. I tried for almost 2 hours and I could not mentally or physically focus on bubbling and shooting fireballs at the same time. So that's where I asked my brother to spam the fireball button while I worried about bubbling. It was going pretty well until I realized that for some reason my brother is kind of a slow button masher, which meant that there was a lot more time for me to lose focus and die. So I asked my dad for help instead, and he's actually pretty fast. The hardest part about my bubbling job was when Bowser goes into his shell, because he moves the screen, which makes the bro and the bubble fly all around. It took quite a while and it took a whole lot of fireballs, but we stayed persistent and soon we hit the final shot. As we watch Bowser fall to his doom, we can definitively say that it is possible to beat New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe without moving. This challenge was nuts. Going into it, I didn't think it would be that hard because the first time I did it in a similar way, it wasn't horrible. But man, did I underestimate how much more difficult it would be not being able to use slopes and especially not being able to ground pound to stop our momentum. Another thing I did differently this time was not using Nabbit in the final battle, since I hit the like goal of 50 likes on the video that I made 2 years ago. Also, if you're wondering why I didn't do a live stream, it's because, well, I just realized that it's not very interesting to watch me do this for hours. This challenge was very fun and I encourage you to try it out for yourself, even if this level almost made me go bananas. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and remember, Luigi is and will always be #1.